No matter if you're 30 or 40, if you think you want to be financially free, then you need to wake up and take action right now. Everybody wants to be in a position where they don't have to work, but life expectancy is going up. So imagine if you retire at 55 and you have to live a life till 90. For every day you're working, you have to provide for a day when you don't have to work. So it's important to start planning for your financial well-being very early in life.
Prathiba Girish is a certified financial planner and the founder of Finwise Personal Finance Services LLP. Today she joins us to discuss how you can plan your finances based on your career path.
Let's make things a little more fun. I have with me a set of cards. Each one has an individual career path. I'll lay them out for you. You can pick it out and tell me what you think would be the appropriate financial planning for that specific career. Let's do it. Go ahead and pick out one. What have you got on?
Actor.
Actor, okay. We'll do one last and final one.
Oh, my favorite.
So Prathiba, today, so many different career choices, so many jobs, so many professionals, so many entrepreneurs as well. There is so much of an intention about financial planning, but still there's a big gap between intent and action. Why do you think that it's such a challenge?
I think reality is very different from what one perceives. When one chooses a career, you have a certain standard. You think if I do this and I earn this much, then I'm successful, then I'll be able to do X, Y, Z, my entire list of things which I intend to do. But that takes time. And Rome was not built in a day, and nobody starts out and it's only in movies that overnight people see success. So once you encounter reality, then you just keep pushing it forward, saying that once I reach that step, then I'll work towards my financial well-being. Or you think there's hardly anything for me to make ends meet, and what am I talking about tomorrow? Or all this YOLO, you live only once, so let's live it up. Those kind of things do set in. And this is something which is very important, but not really urgent. So it keeps getting put off to another day, another month, another year.
Yes, and I started off by saying so many different career paths that one can take. It's not like back in the day it was, arts, commerce, science. Clearly, there is no one-size-fits-all financial plan for different career paths, right? They all vary.
Absolutely well said. No one-size-fits-all. It's always a custom fit. So what works for in a certain career actually may be a disadvantage with another one. Most people don't want to give the time and energy to understand what actually are the positives and negatives. It's like doing a SWAT analysis of your career. So, what are the things which work for you, and maximize on that. And rather than looking at the neighbor and saying, okay, that seems to be working for her or him, why not for me? Because somebody will start with a bang and it's not going to last for a long time. Somebody starts like a snail and then it's on and on and on, and there's no stop, like that Duracell battery ad, So, one comparing with the other will always be cause for unhappiness, and will also give you reasons to put it off. So okay, fine, if I'm not able to do as well as her or him, let me not do it at all, or let me do it at another time. So I think it's better to chart your own journey and understand it's a custom fit. Not only career, also behaviorally, how you how you react to certain things also depends on your career choice.
So I want to just double tap on that, the different career choices and how your financial identity differs in each scenario. How is it different when it comes to not just financial planning, but decision making also with different career paths, like entrepreneurs or professionals or people who've been in their job for a very long time, or people who are starting out?
So, if you look at entrepreneurs and salaried people itself, just this two, we'll come to the rest, but they're like chalk and cheese. Salaried people are conservative in largely. They have risk appetites, many of them will be aggressive also. But business owners, entrepreneurs want to take risk. For them, risk taking is second nature. Number two, they can't distinguish between personal wealth and something which is in business. It's always iske topi uske sar, as they say. They keep taking out money from their personal, personal wealth and putting it into business, because they look at their business income and they think, oh, this is generating fabulous returns. But honestly speaking, most people don't even sit down with pen and paper to understand if it's actually generating that kind of returns, what are the overheads, etc. On the back of of the envelope calculations, they are good with the kind of numbers which they're getting, and they think that all their earnings should go into business because it's giving them very, very good returns. So risk is not something which they look at all. And all of this happens in reverse with salaried people, mostly.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the risk appetite tends to be little less.
So yeah, the risk appetite is less. They're very, they're very, very, they're conscious of the fact that their money can actually, instead of growing, can stagnate or can come down. That's not something which they can digest. Actually, nobody can digest it when your hard-earned money is not doing well, but that's the nature of investment. Suppose you choose a certain asset class, it may or may not do well, but they can't digest it, and they're very clear. Don't take more risk. It's okay if you take little lesser, if you get a little lesser returns. So salaried is different, and entrepreneurs are different. And if you move away from salary to somebody who's retired, then it becomes starkly opposite.
Yeah.
They said zero risk, just preserve my wealth. That's good enough for me.
Okay, so everything differs. It's not a one size fit all. But let's also talk about that checklist that one needs to make. You said it's like a SWOT analysis that you need to do. So when you are, irrespective of what career path you've taken, whether you're salaried or you're on your own, what should be that list that you need to keep in mind to start getting your financial plan going in the right direction?
That's such a good question. It's a good framework for people to evaluate. So when we look at people and their careers, what are the things which we look at? We look at, how is their start going to be? Is it going to start slow and then take off slowly? Like, for example, a doctor may have put in many, many years and comes into the profession, but it's not like the next day he's the most sought after surgeon.
Correct.
It takes years to build that practice. So it's going to start slow. Or maybe an actor or an anchor or somebody who's a social media person who is giving digital content can overnight become very successful.
Yeah.
Okay, so is it going to start slow and be consistent? So how is the start going to be in terms of earnings? And how long is it sustainable?
Okay.
Is it something which will go on for many years? Is it something which is, which is very good initially, but may or may not last for a long time? These are things which you have to keep in mind. Also, you look at what are the kind of benefits you get with the job. Some jobs will, like if you're in a government, kind of an enterprise, so you will get an NPS, you will get some kind of pension, some kind of backing from there. And therefore, it's important to understand what is those benefits, what are those benefits and how useful are they? Are they enough? Do you need to do more than what they give you? So these three things you look at: how fast does it grow? How long is it sustainable? And what are the kind of benefits which you get from it?
Okay, Prathiba, let's make things a little more fun. I have with me a set of cards. Each one has an individual career path. I'll lay them out for you. You can pick it out tarot card reading style and tell me what you think would be the appropriate financial planning for that specific career. Okay, let's do it. Are you ready?
Lovely.
Okay. Go ahead and pick out one. What have you got on?
Actor.
Actor, okay, very cool. Lots of aspiring actors in Mumbai.
Yes.
So, I guess let's not talk about someone who's well established and who has the moolah being raked in. Let's talk about someone who's starting out, going for the auditions, got a gig here, got an ad, got one film lined up. What do you suggest?
How old do you think this actor, if you're talking about, what kind of,
Can I be honest? So I used to model, and I met so many of these kind of people when I went for auditions. So many of them were from different cities. They had given up studying, guys included, saying that I want to make it as the next big Shah Rukh Khan or whoever. Given up studying, they were in their 20s. And they said, this is it for me, I'm going to kill it, I'm going to crush it. No backup plan, no family backing, no education to fall back on either. So let's take an example of someone like that and is not in the same city that they were born in or with their family.
For somebody who's starting out, it's very difficult to sit and imagine what if I'm not the winner, right? And we don't want them to do that as well, because confidence is very important. But nevertheless, when you're talking about somebody with no family background or no family background, I mean family connects, no family support in terms of finances. Yes, maybe your day-to-day expenses are being taken care of, but nothing beyond. At some point of time, you're supposed to bring in the money. Okay, that's the kind of person we're looking at. And they've landed their first movie, first gig, whatever. They're getting paid for it. Hopefully in time, they're getting paid for it.
Yeah.
So it's very important to think that who's ever funding your current expenses, they may run out of patience, right? And it's not like it's going to happen in a quick succession that you've got the first movie and the next. It may happen, but that's very good, and it's
Unlikely
a
also.
problem of plenty. So when you have lots, then you know, obviously you need to put it aside for in a very good asset class. But in this case, what if it doesn't happen? You are good, you know that you'll get your next assignment, but may not be in a hurry. If you're getting this money, and after you get a movie, the person who's funding you, whether it's your parents, your friends, or whoever, is going to look at you differently. He's saying, till now I was funding him primarily because he doesn't have a way of earning or taking care of himself. The moment you start working in a movie, they don't know what is the kind of money which you're earning. They don't know that that's not enough. They don't know that you possibly haven't been paid yet, and their thinking about you changes immediately. They immediately expect that you will be independent and you'll take care of yourself. So at least at that moment when you are earning, you are expected to take care of yourself, and immediately after, suppose you don't find another another assignment, you're supposed to take care of yourself. So right now you're not trying to build huge amount of wealth, you're building a contingency to stay put in the game. Ultimately, if you need to have tremendous success, you need to stay there for some more time, and the staying power, you need finance also.
Yeah.
So there you are, you need to keep aside money in something which is safe. Don't take undue risk, something which is liquid right now till you make it big, so that if you take some more time for your next assignment, at least your day-to-day expenses are taken care of. And you need to also, as part of this financial planning, have this conversation with the person who's funding you right now. I'm so happy that you helped me, you did all this, but this is the total amount I'm making. I'm trying my best. At least he knows, or he or she knows, that I am, trying my best to be independent. I don't want to latch on to you and suck you dry even when I have the funds. So once you have these conversations, life becomes easy. So you're not trying to build wealth, you're trying to stay put. Stay put for a longer time.
Sustain.
Yeah. So we just talked about staying put. This is specifically, you've got your first assignment, you've got your first income, and you don't know when is the next one going to come your way. But once the next one comes your way, and then the next one, I'm not saying that it's going to come in quick succession, but when it does, you know that you're making some progress. At all points of time, one cannot be in survival mode. The first one was in survival mode. Okay, how long can I stay put? But once you start getting money, then it is important to set aside for goals. You want to go back home, you want to go on that holiday, you want to do some course which will help you, you need to set aside money for that as well. So, once your second or the third assignment sets in, it's
how much percent should you keep aside, and how much should you spend?
See, it depends on, if you've got a movie assignment, obviously you're going to get paid well. It's not going to be in small. So then a large percentage of your money should be kept aside for taking care of your goals. But if you've only got a small role which is paying you very little, but you're getting it again and again. It's not like a one-time thing that you're able to take care of this month's expenses. You're getting it again and again. You've got it twice, thrice. Then it can be a small percentage, but that habit should set in. When it's a movie, it can be maybe 50-60% should be kept aside, because movies may take time to come. If not, at least 20%. But keep aside and make it clear in your mind that I am saving for the future. I'm out of the survival mode right now. That mindset change should happen.
There we go, that's actor. I'll take that back, put it aside, and let's pick out another career path and see what you get.
Oh, my favorite, doctor.
Doctor.
So,
let's do this, because you were talking about someone who studied and put in that investment for years and now has just started their small practice.
See, doctors also, it's important to tell me what kind of a doctor.
Okay, say we go for someone who is an orthopedic.
Is he practicing in the hospital? Or
starting off in the hospital, aims to start on his own.
The reason to understand this, it's the career path which somebody takes when they're working with a hospital, is that of a salaried.
Yes.
Okay, so it's not like in your own practice, then the previous discussion, you were like old wine and you can keep upping your consultation fee. All that comes into the picture. But when you're working in an organization, then you have, it's like any other salaried professional. So irrespective of how good you are, it's going to take a long time. The increments are going to happen steadily, but very slowly. Okay. Now, if your aim, like you just said, is started out in a hospital, but has the intention of setting up practice. Setting up practice is not going to come without a cost attached to it.
Yes.
Setting out practice would mean that you need a place, you need some kind of stability to establish yourself, as in if you're going to give up on your job and set up the practice, not necessarily with a doctor, you can continue to do both, then your daily expenses have to be met. So you have a lot of short-term goals. Say if you give yourself a deadline that in the next 7 years I'm going to set up a practice, then when you set up a practice, not necessary that you'll have a huge line. It is possible also that you've built a reputation that you'll get, and it's a good thing. How are you going to sustain yourself for the next couple of years? From where is that down payment going to come to pay the advance for the clinic, even if you're going to take it on a rental basis? So there are a lot of short-term goals, and just because you've studied for such a long time and you've taken a long time to come here and get the salary, you can't start spending all of it or enjoying all of it without giving thought to that, because that is your long-term goal, that you set up the practice. And look at it from this point of view. Once you set up practice, then you don't have a retirement age. Then with age, your consulting practice goes up. You'll be able to build enormous wealth because you're able to charge a premium for your services. All of that is going to happen. So you don't have to look at all of that, but you have to look at that 7 years later, where am I going to pay that money from? If by chance my practice takes some time to take off, then the next 1 year, 2 years expenses, calculate if I'm spending so much now, how much am I going to be spending 7 years from now? And for 1, 2 years of expenses should be in my bank account, and how much do I need, where do I want to start the practice? I want in Pedder Road, I'd pay a little higher. If I'm going to get it at some other place, you pay a little lesser.
Yes.
That money should be kept in your account, and whatever percentage is required for that has to be kept aside, because you're used to, making ends meet. Continue to do that, but keep that end in mind that this money should be there.
Okay, we'll do one last and final one.
Content creator.
Okay, this is like a budding career path. A lot of people are taking it. So assume that you're someone who has started off, you have a decent following, you've got a few brand gigs coming in, you make, say, I don't even know how much people make, but say like 30, 40 per piece of content that you put out, and it's a regular stream coming in for now.
So this is very different from the other two career paths which we took. One is just starting out. One is the actor was trying to establish himself. The doctor, yes, there's a good path ahead, but it's just starting out. And here is somebody who's already, having content.
Seen good money coming in also, fairly good.
Yeah. So it's very easy at this point to get carried away and to think that it's possible that yes, you're creating content and you'll continue to do it for the next 30 years. It's also very easy to think that, you live only once, so let's enjoy, and this is something which is really hard earned, and my assignments are going to multiply with day, so why not, put it off for another day. It's very important to understand that there are risks in any kind of career which you take. There may be a lull, there may be stagnation, it may take sometimes you may not get the same kind of money. So you be very conscious of the kind of lifestyle which you're building. And because you know that you've done very well, the percentage of money which you put aside has to be much larger than what it is. So this content creator probably in the 20s and 30s, and we discussed about you save at least as much as your age. Doesn't work for this. You're getting good amount of income. Please save 40-50%. Put it in asset classes depending on what is there for the large, long term, short term, etc. And the rest of the money, guilt-free spending, you keep a corpus.
Minimal.
When you keep that corpus for guilt-free spending, it actually helps you to save more, because you know that yes, if I want to buy that, the Louis Vuitton bag, because that's important for me, and I've building a corpus for that as well, then you are more likely to stay with your investment plans, because you're not saying, oh, what is this? I'm saving all the money I'm earning.
Yeah.
I'm not able to enjoy my life the way I want to.
Yeah.
So keep something for your needs, and a much larger percentage, your age plus maybe 20% as savings for a better day.
And which asset would you advise them to invest in?
See, for whatever you're saving, when the going is good and you know that
Yeah.
it's likely to last this for the next 2-3 years.
Yeah.
So when you're starting out, you will go with a hybrid kind of a asset class.
Okay.
But whatever you're saving for the long term, 5 years, 7 years, put it in an asset which is going to build wealth for you.
Which
And
is
that?
what?
Equity.
Okay.
Absolutely. Not necessarily direct equity.
Okay.
You know, you can do it through the mutual fund route, take qualified advice, but set aside the money saying this is for long term and put it in equity assets, because you know the next 3 years are going well.
Okay.
And even if there are ups and downs, you'll be able to stay the course.
And then there's people who are freelancing or who are entrepreneurs. And of course, the general advice is start planning SIP, insurance, keep it safe. But is all of that enough for someone who is on their own? What should their financial plan look like?
See, when somebody is a freelancer or when somebody is an entrepreneur, there is no steady income.
Yeah.
So while it's a good starting point to say, yes, you have to have emergency corpus insurance, that's just a tick mark activity. Yes,
That's basic.
I've gotten started on this. But even the contingency or the emergency requirements are very different for somebody who gets lumpy income. You may get lots at one point of time, and you may have dry periods where there is nothing coming your way for some time, or very little coming your way.
Yeah.
And also you're dependent on yourself, on your income. It's not like you can say, okay, fine, I'm not going to work at all. If you're a gig worker, if you're doing something as on a consulting basis, you can't say I'll keep getting paid even if I'm unwell for some time. So you have to keep aside a larger sum as an emergency corpus. So while it's important, and you look at others and people are saying that I am starting a SIP of 2 lakh rupees a month, it doesn't matter. It was meant for people who are getting steady income. If you're not getting steady
Yeah.
income, you still need to make that plan. So you need to sit down, and it's very boring. People are not going to like what I'm going to say, but to understand how much is your income, don't have, I think I'm doing well, I have earned enough. Sit down and write down, what did you earn last year? What did you earn the year prior to that? And what is it that you're targeting this year? 2 things you have to have a track of. One is how much are you earning? Number 2 is how much are you spending? It's not fashionable, but it is important to know very clearly how much are you spending, because when you have more money in your hand, you tend to spend a lot.
Yes.
If you're getting lumpy income, your expenses also go up, your lifestyle goes up. So it's important to maintain that. If when I get, say, I spend 1 lakh of rupees a month, and if I got 5 lakhs, then I keep 1 lakh of rupees for spending. Okay, because I've done a fabulous job and I earned such a large amount, I keep something for, enjoy life kind of a
Yeah.
goal. And the rest of it goes into a kitty from which I can draw right now. So you are taking care of tomorrow when you're not getting this lumpy income. You also need to take care of those, those years beyond 45, 55, whenever you choose to be financially free.
So you touched upon spending as your income rises, and that is a very common phenomenon. That I want to spend a little bit more, or my expenses increase when I'm earning more. Is there any rule of thumb or anything that one should follow whereby I should set aside X% for my savings for the future, X% of what I earn for my daily expenses, for my necessities, for my have fun and enjoy?
See, what most of us don't realize is, there is inflation, and that is also much talked about topic, but then there are some things which we bring upon ourselves. So when the income rises, which it typically does even for a salaried person, mid-salary, mid-age, so 30 to 45, the salary increases exponentially. At that point of time, it's very important to first set aside a certain percentage which will take care of your tomorrows, for all your, travel needs, your whatever your goals are, you set aside, say, at least if you're 30, you should be saving 30% of your income. So you look at your age, and you say, I will, whatever my age is, I'll at least save that much. If you're really, very disciplined, you can save age plus 10%.
Okay.
The remaining need to be split into wants and needs. Okay, so you can split it up as you look at your needs, and you keep some aside for your wants. See, the ultimate plan of financial planning is not to save for a rainy day and not live today, because you
Yes.
never know. You need to live today well and keep aside, something for a rainy day. So if you've set aside your 30 years, you've set aside 30%, then maybe 40% of the, can go towards your needs, and the remaining 30% towards your wants, towards your enjoy kind of a goal, which you can do also very guilt-free.
You spoke about this mid-career boost, and many people get it. It could be in the form of a promotion, a bonus, or an ESOP. What's the correct way to financially plan for that when you get that sharp rise in your income suddenly?
See, if you don't plan for the sharp rise, your lifestyle is definitely going to increase. I don't know of anybody, irrespective of whether they're HNIs or they're just starting out, if they have money in the bank, there are multiple ways of spending it.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's important that you decide what is good enough for you, as in what kind of lifestyle, because there's always a temptation ki, can I move into a bigger house, bigger car, better MacBook or better phone or whatever. So I'm saying, since you need to live your life, you decide if you've got this sharp hike, what your percentage cannot remain the same. You were saving 30%. If you continue to save the same 30% because you've got, say, 20-30% hike, you're not doing yourself a favor and your expenses are going up. Increase the percentage of savings, and be conscious of not increasing your lifestyle beyond a certain limit, because that is something which you have to sustain all your life. If you live till 90, you want to live the same lifestyle, because cutting on your lifestyle is a very, very depressing thing. Nobody wants to even bring it down by 5%. So be conscious of that.
Okay, yeah, that is so critical to know, that you can only up your lifestyle to a certain extent and sort of put a cap on it so it's consistent. What about asset allocation strategies? How do they differ? I know you touched upon it a bit, but from a salaried professional versus a business owner.
See, a salaried professional has, some kind of benefit structure, some kind of backing between. If today most spouses are working, both of them are working. If they're working in different industries, even if one is between jobs, taken a sabbatical, been laid off, whatever, the other one is working. So there is some kind of a backup there in terms of somebody being able to provide for the daily needs. So you divide whatever asset allocation has to be. It's almost similar for everybody, but one thing is very different, is because as a business owner you need funds very frequently, and you do tend to dip into funds also frequently. Keep that in mind while investing. Don't be very optimistic and say, okay, this I'm putting out for a, that's what we've seen with most people. They put an investment saying this is for the long term, and 1.5 years later, at the wrong time, they want to take it out and put it in their business. So they've made a permanent loss. So it's important to decide on your personal goals, look at how much is going for long term, put it in equity, short term, put it in debt. If you're an entrepreneur, put a lot more into debt, because you know that you're going to take it out at wrong times possibly, because you need access to funds. So keep that as my business funding need. For salaried professionals, that's already there.
I wanted to also talk about individuals who are very career driven, and they're clear that now I'm putting my head down, I'm only focused on work, versus being wealth driven. How do the financial goals or financial planning, how does that differ? Would it be different for someone who's saying I'm willing to maybe step back on my lifestyle and my spending because I just want to kill it at work or something like that?
See, people who are career driven normally spend a lot of money on upskilling themselves. And that's fantastic, because in today's date, I can't think of many professions in which you can't keep yourself updated and still stay relevant in the job. So that's a good thing. If they're career driven, then they should do a checklist and see, if I'm career driven, am I spending enough on myself to upgrade my skills? And I'm doing it not as a tick mark activity once in a while, but on a regular basis. Okay, and then evaluate this also. If I'm spending this much on this course, how is it helping me? Not just doing one after the other course, but have I done this course? Am I being able to use whatever knowledge, etc., to either up my income, or at least to retain my income, or to create an edge? But ultimately, the whole purpose is you're career driven, your income goes up. In the end, you need to be building wealth also. So it's important that you set aside a certain money for for your upscaling, but you also have to start that wealth building journey even if you're career driven. wealth building on the other side can have its flip side. They're looking at money and they're looking at saving and building a huge corpus. That shouldn't come at the cost of upgrading yourself.
Okay.
It shouldn't, you can't take easy paths to success and say, this is the one, this is the job which is paying me fabulously at this point of time. But what about longevity? Will it continue to pay? Are there any risks to this? Is it that, it's a flash in the pan kind of a thing? For a couple of years, it's going to work, and then what? Because in the long term, something which starts slowly may be a better deal. So that's something which you need to keep in mind, that if you're wealth driven, still concentrate on yourself.
I also want to understand more about the common mistakes that you observe in professionals when it comes to financial planning. Maybe it's not tailored to their specific career or their specific growth path. What are the main mistakes that people make?
I don't know if it's cliched, but the biggest mistake people make is they cannot imagine the kind of expenses they're going to have in 10 years from now. So you can, you can speak as much as you want to them, but when you tell them that today, listen, it's a very basic thumb rule which helps everybody. If you're spending ₹1,00,000 today, in 10 years from now, even if you're very conscious and disciplined, you're going to be spending 2 lakhs, which is double in 10 years if there's 7% inflation. Most people's lifestyle inflation is much higher. So just because you have stopped earning, your inflation is not going to stop. In 20 years, 2 becomes 4. In 30 years, 4 becomes 8. And people cannot imagine that that is the kind of, expenses which they're going to have. So if somebody is planning, they're always looking at today. They're saying, okay, today looks like if I have 5 crores, I'm sorted. I don't have to work anymore. Yes, you're sorted for the next few years, but your expenses are going to keep going up, right? So look at, for how many years are you going to be sorted with 5 crores? It looks like a large, kitty to have, but may not be. Depends on where you are. It's one big mistake is don't underestimate inflation. You are going to be spending a lot more. Don't look at today's corpus. Look at what is required at the time, say when you want to be financially free. It's going to be vastly different from what you think.
Yeah, and maybe just put pen to paper and sort of write it all down about how much your expenses could potentially go up.
Absolutely. And this thumb rule actually helps. At every 10 years, it's going to double. When most people come for queries also, it's very difficult to convince them that 2 and 3 crores which they think is sufficient today is just not sufficient. And look at products also. If something is going to give you, say, ₹1,00,000 today a month, it's very good. ₹1,00,000 is not bad at all. But in 10 years from now, that lakh is equal to 50,000. And in 20 years from now, that's going to be equal to 25,000. Please imagine that, both positive and negative. If some product comes to you saying, I'm going to give you 1 lakh, that's not good enough for you to retire, because in 10 years, you'll be struggling to make ends meet.
Okay.
It has to grow.
Can you share with us, maybe some more examples or, a framework that you would suggest maybe for someone to align their finances with their professional journey?
It strikes me as very odd, like a person who chooses to be a doctor, top of the class, because they have to study for many years. They really put in the effort, and then they start their journey as a doctor many years later. So somebody would have started at 23, 24, and these people are still studying. They're studying till 30, they're studying till 31, they're doing specialization, they're spending a lot of money, and then they qualify and come into the professional world. Not necessarily that they're going to earn the top bucks. They've seen that neurosurgeon who's earning, laughing all the way to the bank, and then that's the motivation for them to have studied for such a long time. They've been in the best in class, and they're looking around, they're seeing people who were with them, who are peers, who didn't do so well academically, have gotten into jobs and are doing extremely well, earning very well. They're driving the latest of cars, and these people have just got started, not necessarily making a large amount of money. So for them, it's very difficult because they were the best in class. They have put in a lot of effort. They're seeing that their peers are doing very well, but they see that they can't afford many of the things which their friends and so they need to sit down and understand that the journey onwards may not be the same. For somebody who's a salaried person, maybe they've started out on a very good note, but they are in the end, if the salary, they're going to retire at a certain age, or they're going to be laid off at a certain age, burn out at a certain age. If you're say a neurosurgeon and you became a neurosurgeon because you want to make the big money, you are like, you're like old wine. As you grow, as you experience, you're going to make a lot of money, so you don't have to worry about saving aggressively for a later day right now. Right now, as long as you have a habit of putting some amount away, that's good enough. You don't have to think like a salaried person saying that I have only 15 years. You can work for as long as, if you're a surgeon, as long as your hand is steady, you'll continue to work. It can be 75, it can be 80. And with age, your income goes up exponentially. Not many, not many professions give you that kind of leverage. So that can be very, very different if you look at a media person, or like I said, a digital creator. Overnight success, how long can you sustain it? How long can you hold on to this success? Those are question marks.
So when we talk about some of the career paths that get a lot of money at one go, it could be an actor or a sports person, what would be the apt financial planning style that they need to adopt to maintain that lifestyle, but to still save for a rainy day and to have, probably bulk of money coming in at one shot, and then, maybe having a dry spell for some amount of time? How do they build an emergency fund and financially plan? Do you have any examples also?
See, when you're looking at people, like I said, who've had success, they need to sit down and acknowledge that this is not something which is going to last all their life. The best of cricketers will have to retire at some point of time. You may be in IPL, you may have made a huge packet right now, but it's not likely that the next 15 years will continue to make. So there's very limited time. Doesn't mean that you will not up your lifestyle. You have a certain lifestyle, you are famous, you need to live up to that lifestyle, and that lifestyle you can't bring it down later. So once you acknowledge the fact that while most people will earn whatever, they may not earn such big packets for a long time, but they'll earn consistently for much longer. I only have 10, 12 years to earn, and then I have to sustain the same lifestyle over a long period of time. So emergency fund, yes, but more important for you is to understand the urgency of the situation, to put aside a corpus so that whatever I'm living today, I'm able to sustain it till the time I'm alive. That has to be done. Then very, very aggressive savings is required. Keeping in mind also that you have a certain lifestyle to live, you cannot really, compromise on that, but nevertheless you have very limited time. So if you keep that in mind and say, okay, time is not on my side, let me be aggressive about it, I think you're sorted.
And then I want to discuss the younger generation, those who are getting off or starting off on their career path. Now, for a lot of the time, it's their passion or their interest or what they're good at that really guides them into choosing a career. Finances are not usually linked or are not part of the plan. How important is it to even take that into cognizance? For example, someone may want to get into the field of media. It might not be that lucrative in terms of a financial opportunity for them. So how important is it to think of those? Or do you feel when you're young, you follow your dreams, you follow your passion, and then think about the finances later? Is that a classic mistake or the way to go?
See, I think all these decisions are based on your family background also, what kind of support you get. If somebody knows very well they have to fend for themselves, there's a deadline, then they don't have the option of, honestly, in a previous generation, they wouldn't have had the option of pursuing something which is not going to pay for their upkeep also. Once you know that you have family, you have friends, then it's important, then it's okay to take that call. Also, it's very important when you're taking these decisions to look at careers and say, is this a winner-take-all kind of a career? Say, for example, you want to be a chef, okay, and you have seen Sanjeev Kapoor, Ranveer Brar, and you think that this is what I want to be. But how many people will get there, okay, and how many people will work in the best of, they'll work in Taj or Oberoi, and how many people have to, really struggle and still put in their best. They may be great people, but still not reaching to that level. So that's a winner-take-all kind of a scenario. So you need to understand that if you're choosing a career, even the whole idea is if averages come from the best and the worst, assume you, despite your best efforts, if you land in between, will you still be able to live your lifestyle? I think this is a question which parents need to ask. Yes, I know that you have the ability to support your kids till the age of say 25, 27, 28, whatever, but you can't support them till the age of 90, right? So you need to have that conversation. Yes, what kind of lifestyle do you want to live? And in this career, suppose, I know you're brilliant, but suppose you don't make it, and you're
Yes.
is it a winner take all? Can you still manage with the average, being an average person, still manage to live the lifestyle? I think that's an important question, and it's only following passion may not work for people who will not be taken care of till the age of 90.
Wonderful takeaways. I think it's so important to understand the financial planning and your career planning goes hand in hand. So lots of key takeaways from the episode. One being that it's not a one-size-fits-all when it comes to different career paths and financial planning for them. It is important that you sit down, put pen to paper, do a SWOT analysis. Start your financial planning early. Generally, it's your age plus about 10% that you need to set aside for savings. Identify your wants and your needs. And with life expectancy going up, it's important to create an emergency fund for a rainy day. There's also a component that you set aside, mad money, which you invest in asset classes that are unknown or could be risky because you could really lose a lot of money over there. And finally, it is important to invest in growing your income rather than building a corpus. Would love to know what is some financial advice that you wish you'd received earlier on in your career. Do share that with us in the comments section below. Do remember to subscribe to Personal Finance TV, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Thanks so much for watching.